Okay, let's dive in. Imagine this. You've got just $5 and only 2 hours. Your goal. Make as much profit as you possibly can. What? What do you do?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it? And not just hypothetical. This was a real challenge given to students at the D school, at Stanford, actually, years ago.
Right, the D school. So they had what, just the 2 hours and the $5?
They had some planning time, few days maybe, but the actual doing part, strictly 2 hours. Clock started the second they opened the envelope with the $5 inside.
Okay. So for this deep dive, we really want to unpack the results, explore what these teams came up with, and more importantly, what were the lessons about creativity, problem solving, finding value where you don't expect it.
Exactly. And here's the kicker, the really interesting part.
Yeah.
The teams that made the most money, they didn't even touch the initial $5.
Wait, really? Didn't use the $5 at all. How does that work?
Well, that's the core lesson, you see. When people first hear the challenge, the immediate focus is usually, okay, $5, how do I invest this? Buy low, sell high, something like that. But the students who did exceptionally well, they realized focusing only on the cash, that was actually boxing them in. It limited their thinking.
A limitation. But isn't the whole point the $5 constraint?
It seems that way,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the mental trap. They figured out their most valuable resources weren't the coins or the bill. It was, well, their own skills, their observations, the team's brain power, the environment right around them.
Ah, I see. So the real challenge wasn't about stretching $5. It was about rethinking the whole problem. Okay, so tell us, what did they come up with once they stopped, staring at the money?
Well, one team, they went to a busy spot near campus, and they offered something simple, checking bicycle tire pressure for free.
Okay, free checks. Then what?
If someone's tires were low, they'd offer to pump them up for $1. But they learned something pretty fast.
What was that? People didn't need air.
Oh, they needed air. But the team learned about value and adapting quickly. They started getting really positive reactions. People seemed genuinely grateful. So halfway through their 2 hours, they switched tactics.
Switch.
Instead of the fixed $1 charge, they just asked for donations. And guess what? Their earnings shot up. People often gave more than $1.
Interesting. So the value wasn't just the air, it was the convenience, the help.
Precisely. The unexpected helpfulness. And they iterated, right?
Yeah.
Tried something, got feedback, adapted instantly. Classic rapid prototyping.
That's brilliant. Learning and changing strategy on the fly. Okay, got another example?
Sure. Another team spotted a different kind of pain point. You know those long waits at popular restaurants, especially on a Saturday night?
Ugh, yes. Definitely a pain point.
So during their planning phase, they made reservations at several really sought-after places in Palo Alto.
Okay, and then they sold the reservation.
You got it. As the reservation time got close, they'd find groups stuck in the long queues.
And offer them the spot. Clever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simple idea, but they learned a ton about perceived value and even the psychology of the sale. They found that the women on the team often had more success closing the deal, maybe perceived as more trustworthy.
Huh. That's subtle.
And another thing, it worked way better at restaurants that gave out those physical buzzer things. Handing over the buzzer made the transaction feel more real, more tangible.
Right, like you're actually getting something physical for your money, not just a name on a list. So again, it wasn't about the $5. It was about seeing a frustration and selling the relief from it.
Perfectly put. Opportunities are often hiding in plain sight, disguised as frustrations.
Yeah.
But the team that made the absolute most profit, they took this reframing idea even further, a whole other level.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What did they do?
They stepped back even further, looked past the $5, past the 2 hours, and asked, what's the most valuable thing we actually have access to in this whole setup?
And they decided it wasn't cash. It wasn't even their immediate time working on some small project. It was their scheduled 3-minute presentation slot in class later that week, where they were supposed to report their results.
No way. They sold their class presentation time.
They did. They found a company that was really keen to recruit students from that D-School program. And they sold those 3 minutes as basically a targeted recruitment pitch, prime advertising space.
Wow. Okay, that's completely reframing the assets. They saw their position in the system, their access to that audience as the resource.
It just shows how radically you can redefine a problem, right?
Right.
And what counts as a resource. They weren't bound by the envelope of the $5. They used everything connected to their situation. So the big takeaway here, for you listening, it's pretty powerful, isn't it? These constraints we think we have, like the $5 or maybe not enough time, not enough budget, they aren't always the real barrier. Often it's just that we're framing the problem too narrowly. If you unpack it, look beyond the obvious.
Yeah, you might find resources you didn't even realize you had. Your skills, who you know, the unique context you're in, those can be incredibly valuable.
So think about a challenge or a constraint you're facing right now. Is there another way to look at it?
Could rethinking the problem itself unlock something?
Yeah.
Reveal assets you've overlooked?
Which brings us back to that original problem, maybe for you to ponder. If you were given that $5 challenge today, 2 hours, $5, what idea would you run with to make the biggest profit?
Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to Thrill Talk Podcast.
And leave us a comment. We love hearing from you.
Oh, and hit that like button. It really helps us keep bringing you more exciting, fun, and useful content.